She took a life, yet kept her camera smile. Claudine Longet, once adored singer and actress, pulled the trigger on Olympic skiing hero Spider Sabich inside a bathroom. The proof was crystal clear, but the judge handed her only a suspended sentence, and she hit the slope straight after the verdict as if nothing had happened. Early 1970s Hollywood had never seen such a volatile mix of beauty fame and criminal law. 50 years later, the world still asks, where's Claudine Long, and is her conscience ever haunted? In this video, we rip open that sensational file and reveal what Claudine is doing right now truly. Claudine Georgette Longet was born in Paris on 29 January 1942 into a comfortable middle-class home. Her father engineered X-ray devices while her mother worked as a doctor. Yet the shy girl dreamed of applause rather than hospital corridors. She loved music drifting from sidewalk cafes and copied dance steps she saw on black and white screens. At 17, she dazzled audiences at the Folies Berger Theater, a legendary cabaret considered the heartbeat of French nightlife. Her gentle grace, camera-friendly face, and magnetic stage control made rivals fade from view. Critics called her a soft breeze who could still stop a room cold. Destiny struck in 1960. Lou Walters, glamorous Las Vegas nightclub owner and father of journalist Barbara Walters, caught her act in Paris and instantly offered a contract at the Tropicana Hotel, which craved fresh talent for an American Foley's Berger show. Eager for adventure, she boarded a plane and at 18 landed in glittering Nevada. Neon signs blinked outside her hotel window all night, reminding her she had stepped into a brand new world. Media flashes greeted her in Vegas, but one gaze mattered most. Superstar crooner Andy Williams, beloved from Moon River, met Claudine in 1961 while she danced at his event, and he was smitten by her elegant, soft voice and serene aura. The spark ignited fast, and within months they married. Reporters chased them through casinos, calling them the dream couple of the desert. Marriage catapulted Claudine into the epicenter of American show business. She refused to melt into the background, though, determined to shine by her own merit. She took rigorous singing and acting lessons and drilled her voice for hours so she could claim independent screen time. Friends recalled hearing her rehearse scales long after midnight, even after a full day of tapings. Yet pressure brewed under glamour. Every headline attached her name to Andy's success, and whispers claimed she owed every break to her famous husband. Claudine bristled at that idea and doubled her efforts with fresh routines and carefully chosen songs. The Andy Williams Show, a nationwide television favorite, became her launch pad. Backed by Andy, she performed French standards in Euro-flavored pop that felt mysterious beside brash American acts. From 1962 to 1968, she appeared constantly on television, the picture of dreamy French elegance on the U.S. stage. Audiences loved the contrast between her whispery delivery and the booming brass bands that often surrounded her. As offers flowed, she leaped into recording. In 1967, she signed with A&M Records, the powerhouse label run by Herb Alpert. Only a handful of television personalities had ever landed such a contract. Her debut album, Claudine, entered the Billboard 200 Top 15 with bossa nova guitars, brush drums, and her intimate whisper that seemed to float right beside the listener's ear. Reviewers compared her to Austria Gilberto, but noted a Parisian twist. Radio stations spun her single version of Hello, Hello during commute hours, and young listeners taped off the air to learn her delicate phrasing. That same year, she sang Love is Blue on a variety special, sending the track racing up easy listening charts. That burst of energy opened the gate for a flurry of albums. The Look of Love, Love is Blue, Colors, and Run Wild, Run Free all appeared between 1967 and 1970. Though each record slid a bit lower on the charts, they cemented a persona as the soft sigh amid a loud musical era. She mixed English and French lines with effortless grace, making every listener feel like they had stepped onto a twilight balcony above the Seine. By 1970, the rock revolution roared louder, and Claudine's subtle style began to seem quaint. Concert promoters chased heavier sounds, yet she would not quit. She added small jazz combos to her shows, hoping the fresh grooves would keep her current. Not content to stay behind the microphone, Claudine branched into acting. She popped up in hit series such as McHale's Navy, Combat, Hogan's Heroes, 12 O'Clock High, The Rat Patrol, and Alias Smith and Jones. Even in brief guest spots, she radiated poise, often playing mysterious women who revealed hidden strength at the last minute. Viewers wrote fan letters begging producers to bring her back. Her most memorable film role came in 1968 as Michelle Monet in Blake Edwards' chaotic comedy The Party, playing a graceful foil to Peter Sellers' slapstick hero. Behind the scenes, technicians claimed her timing saved several improvised gags, and movie magazines splashed her image across spreads titled The New French Face. By the early 1970s, her record stopped charting, and she left A&M to build a label with Andy, yet the venture stumbled. Distribution deals fizzled, and radio programmers looked elsewhere. She still recorded and even helped narrate the Grammy-winning children's album The Little Prince in 1975, though few noticed her contribution. While American fame cooled, Japanese listeners kept the flame alive. Reissued discs found a niche among retro-pop fans who adored the timeless image of the romantic French girl of the 60s. Record shops in Tokyo displayed her albums next to shelves of imported perfume to heighten the nostalgic mood. Concert bootlegs traded hands for shocking prices among collectors. Meanwhile, Hollywood looked away once the Andy Williams show ended in 1971. Financial strain crept in as well. Royalty checks shrank, and she quietly sold a Los Angeles investment condo to keep studio bills paid at the last minute. Casting agents found newer faces, and record scouts hunted heavier beats. The endless parade of cocktail parties where she once posed for photographers slowed to a trickle, and suddenly her phone stayed silent for days. Being Andy Williams' former wife made more headlines than her art, yet Claudine avoided scandal and quietly slipped from view. Neighbors later recalled a polite woman who volunteered at her children's school and rarely mentioned show business. Journalists lost interest, and the public assumed she would retreat into comfortable anonymity. Then fate hurled a snowball that turned into an avalanche. A new romance drew her toward a shocking Aspen saga of love, jealousy, and death that would define her name forever. In 1972, Claudine Longet attended a charity ski race at Bear Valley, California, unaware that the glittering powder beneath her skis would one day be stained by tragedy. Claudine crossed paths with Vladimir Spider Sabich on a glittering aspen slope, and sparks flew instantly. He was a daredevil skier who placed fifth in slalom at the 1968 Grenoble Games and then stormed the pro circuit, becoming the grinning poster boy of American winter sport in the early 70s. His nickname Spider came from the way he carved tight gaits, limbs stretched like a web, yet never losing balance. Tall, handsome, and endlessly outgoing, Spider drew cameras like moths to a flame, and Claudine could not look away. Reporters adored his mischievous jokes, celebrities chased his autograph, and fans draped hand-knit scarves around his shoulders after every race. He carried the wild energy of the slopes into cocktail lounges, telling stories that made entire rooms erupt with laughter. Within 12 short months, the romance snowballed. Claudine packed her 3 children and moved into Spider's glass-walled Starwood villa perched above Aspen, Colorado, the secret playground where billionaires glide through powder by day, then sip champagne beside a crackling fire at night. The chalet boasted heated floors, a panoramic hot tub, and a private lift that whisked straight to intermediate runs, leaving even seasoned locals wide-eyed. She told friends the place felt like a silent cathedral of spruce trees, cold air, and endless sky. Spider loved it because he could train at dawn explode down Black Diamond trails, then unwind among designer couches and vintage wine. From the outside, they looked perfect. The fearless athlete and the chic French singer who once ruled television screens across America. Reality hit hard. Spider had never shared life with kids or curfews and quickly chafed at unexpected bedtimes and homework drama. Claudine carried the weight of a long marriage plus tabloid gossip that never fully died, and she worried about giving her children stability in a town built on après-ski parties. Friends whispered that the little ones turned a bachelor pad into a nursery he never asked for, while he kept chasing adrenaline long after sunset. Arguments crackled like dry twigs. They hosted separate gatherings, planned solo trips, and when Spider soaked up female attention in Aspen's tight nightclub scene, Claudine's jealousy flashed like a warning flare. Their smiles froze during charity galas, and neighbors reported music booming from the villa, followed by sudden silence, broken only by slamming doors. Everything detonated on 21 March 1976. Spider jogged upstairs still in ski boots, humming a Glen Campbell tune, and headed for the master bath to rinse off a day of slushy runs. Minutes later, Claudine entered clutching his wartime Luger, a sleek 8-shot relic he kept polished over the mantel like a trophy. A sudden blast shattered the tile. Steam filled the room, and a bullet ripped into Spider's abdomen. She dialed 911 with shaking fingers, but he slipped away in the ambulance before the mountain highway reached town. Claudine sobbed that Spider had just been showing her how the gun worked when it accidentally fired, insisting she never guessed a bullet sat in the chamber. Investigators uncovered messy twists. A blood draw revealed cocaine yet got tossed because deputies lacked a warrant. Her diary overflowed with sour entries about sleepless fights and stayed locked out of court for the same reason. To many observers, the case already smelled of privilege and procedural chaos. Ballistic experts declared the trigger needed firm, deliberate pressure and appeared to have been squeezed more than once, slicing holes in the easy accident tale. Starwood guard Roy Griffith remembered Claudine moving through the snow in a wild, frantic state, hair loose, lips blue from shock. Informal psychologists suggested raw emotion could turn deadly in a heartbeat, especially for someone already rattled by fame and looming heartbreak. The story ballooned into a nationwide debate about riches, notoriety, and justice. Just 15 days after the shooting, prosecutors charged her with criminally negligent manslaughter that could mean 10 years behind bars. Newspaper boxes from Los Angeles to New York screamed her name, and television trucks clogged Aspen's narrow lanes until skis had to be carried over cables snaking across the sidewalks. Trial preparations began for January 1977, and the ski hamlet braced for an onslaught. Some citizens painted Claudine as a panicked woman caught in tragedy, while a louder crowd branded her a glamorous killer who expected celebrity privilege to shield her. She hired powerhouse attorney Charles Weedman plus local lawyer Ron Austin, and ex-husband Andy Williams quietly wrote blank checks to bankroll the fight. Every witness list, every filing, every hallway whisper became part of a high-stakes chess match. During the 4-day courtroom drama, prosecutors hammered the point that the Luger could not fire itself and that Claudine had zero training with such a weapon. They argued the trigger had been pulled on purpose, shattering the fairy tale of a harmless lesson gone wrong. Defense lawyers countered with images of a frightened mother whose world spiraled in seconds, leaving jurors torn between horror and sympathy. Courtroom fireworks fizzled when judges tossed out the cocaine blood test and Claudine's diary, all because deputies skipped the search warrant step. A massive due process slip left prosecutors with no smoking gun evidence, no clear motive, no direct eyewitness, and every bit of circumstantial drama cut from the record. Only voice from inside the walls was 12-year-old Noelle, who cried she heard Spider scream, "Claudine! Claudine!" just before the blast rang out. But a child's panic shout could not prove intent or accident. Starwood Security Chief Roy Griffith added fuel. recalling Claudine pacing in a hysterical whirlwind that afternoon. Psychologists whisper raw emotion might trigger a deadly mistake, but feelings alone cannot lock steel bars around anyone. Just 4 hours of jury talk produced a verdict that shocked America. Guilty of criminally negligent homicide, a charge carrying up to 2 years behind bars and a $5,000 fine. Yet Judge George Lohr handed down only 30 days in jail, 2 years probation, and a mere $250 penalty. Weekend-only jail time let her live free during the week. Skiing if she dared. The finale came with a hush-house settlement between Claudine and Spider's family. She vowed never to open her mouth about the tragedy. No interviews, no memoirs, no films. 40 years of enforced silence. After the 1977 trial, Claudine vanished. Media hunters found only locked doors and clip responses from her lawyers. No press conferences, no statements, only headlines railing at her lenient fate, and that ironclad vow of silence. In 1978, Spiders can sue Claudine for $780,000, accusing her carelessness of costing a life. That drama ended quietly in another out-of-court pact, again demanding she never speak of Spider's death, by word or pen. Shock rippled deeper when court sparks flew into romance. Ron Austin, her courtroom lawyer, left his marriage and moved in with Claudine in Aspen. They wed on 1st June 1985 and sealed their world away from every camera flash. For 30 years they lived inside Red Mountain's guarded gates, Aspen's fortress for the ultra-rich. Gossip columnists only glimpsed her hidden behind sunglasses and a floppy hat during rare supermarket runs. Her lone peek at screens came in 2003 when Cable Channel A and E revived Andy Williams' story. Claudine allowed a single photo and a whispered line about their past, but stayed mute on camera. By 2023, she turned 81. Reports say she and Ron sold their Aspen retreat for $59.5 million and slipped off to Hawaii. No social feeds, no public address, no held bulletins, just archival whispers from the 70s. Podcasts and YouTube sleuths still tear the case apart as proof that wealth skews justice. Others argue Claudine's 40-year exile is punishment enough. Her name still stirs outrage, pity, and endless debate about crime, fame, and fairness. Though decades have passed, the echo of that one gunshot still rattles our sense of right and wrong. Ghosts of evidence lost to procedure haunt every question. Was it accident or cold calculation?